Revolver Underground.
What's going on, guys? EROCK Revolver Underground here doing another Skype interview, and I'm here with Kyle from Zelazowa. What's going on, man?
Not much, Eric. Thank you again for having me. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. There's always some excitement with technical difficulties, but I think we've worked them out, and I think we're good to go.
I hope so. If for some reason you ask a question and I don't respond right away, let's just blame it on some more technical difficulties.
Absolutely. I love it. That sounds really good. So let's just start it. What's the deal with the name Zelazowa? Where did this come from?
Zelazowa is actually the birthplace of Frederick Chopin in Poland. We are obviously not a Polish band. We are from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But it was kind of a cool, unique thing that our singer stumbled upon. We were in the process of trying to find a name that we weren't going to have any copyright issues with. And
Sure.
So we found it. It sounded cool. We obviously weren't going to run into other bands with that name. And then we started to look into it a little bit further and actually learned that Zelazowa actually loosely interpreted into, I think it was steel will, which is kind of, I guess, our approach to doing stuff was kind of like, we're not going to wait around for anybody to do anything for us. We're just going to, decide what we want to do, and we're going to go and do it.
Absolutely.
So in the end, it ended up kind of describing our approach to music in a cool kind of, I don't know, secondary way. And, it kind of came full circle in the end, and, it stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to actually get into some questions about what's going on with you and Zelazowa and all that stuff, and going to get into the whole where you guys have been. But first, what's you said you're from Philly now. What's the music scene like over there?
Quite honestly, I mean, I always thought that the scene here was pretty cool. Maybe it's because I'm very involved in it, and but it's a lot of bands that kind of have much more of a camaraderie than I've seen in some other bigger cities. A lot of bands that kind of work together versus, I mean, I can say specifically versus New York. It's a very kind of competitive market where a lot of times you're not building bills at shows. You're typically just getting slots at shows. So even just ignoring the bands and just looking at like the way that the market kind of nurtures that relationship, it becomes much more difficult to kind of make those friendships with the other bands that you're playing with, because you're really not setting up a full bill show where you're inviting other people to come in, and if you're really feeling frisky, you can have them kind of sit in on some songs or whatever the case is, and kind of make it more of a full show rather than just a slot in an evening.
Sure, absolutely. And is that kind of hard to do, or is that for you guys? Is that pretty easy to just kind of do that kind of thing?
As far as like kind of forming the camaraderie thing?
Yeah.
I think it really did not entail a whole lot of extra work by any means. I think that just kind of the scene here almost kind of lends itself to that just kind of happening. And so you find yourself being either kind of put on bills or, running into these people at maybe a different show. And, obviously the more you run into them, the more you kind of find out that you have in common. And then obviously that kind of increases the possibility of you, talking with them directly to set up a show together, or, maybe just invite them to play on one of your shows. It just kind of the market here. I mean, it's a big city, but it's not a huge city. And a lot of times the band scene, a lot of those people kind of know each other. And then the people that maybe you don't know directly, indirectly because your friend knows them.
Sure.
And so worst case scenario, you got like one or two links and you pretty much know the scene. And so it becomes very easy to kind of form a close-knit community with that.
So networking is huge, really.
What's that?
Networking is huge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I think the bands and the venues alike kind of make that really kind of second nature.
Sure.
Versus feeling like, oh, I got to go out, I got to do this, I got to do that. You're just you're going out to hang out at the bar, and you're going to bump into a couple of friends that just so happen to be musicians as well, and maybe you'll talk about shows.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of cool though. I dig that. That's pretty sweet. We've been in contact since Oh man, I can't even remember. Like what, 2005-ish, something like that.
For a long time.
Yeah, forever.
I
Now,
think it may have taken a little while before we actually ended up meeting in person.
yeah.
But in the good old MySpace days, we were certainly buddies for a while.
Absolutely. Now you guys got to you guys go on tour a lot. That's how we met, as you were doing shows and whatnot. You got to come and hang out at our place a couple times. But do you find that I want to know some stories behind that. I know you guys have some decent stories on tour when you're meeting these people. And what's the weirdest situation that you've been in on tour?
The weirdest situation.
Yeah.
Now, weird is such a vague term.
What's the thing that sticks out in your mind the most?
I mean, there's one story that just like is in the forefront of my mind, and I will never forget it. No matter how old I get or however many drinks I have, I will never forget this one night. And it was weird, but it was also kind of scary and ridiculous in just so many ways.
Right.
I'll give you the shorter version of the story. Basically,
right.
we were playing in Pensacola, Florida. This was, I think, 2007. First time we ever played in Pensacola. Going into a new market, you never know what to expect. We go in and we had an awesome show. Like, it was one of the best nights on the whole tour in a brand new market. It's like the night has been awesome so far. And the bands were good. The crowd was great. We made money. Everybody's happy. And we didn't know anybody that lived there. So we had kind of reached out to a couple of people that we had met throughout the night and kind of asked about accommodations for the evening, hoping we weren't going to have to, either sleep in the van or have to, shell out for a motel.
Right.
And so, I mean, Jesus, we had easily five or more people that were like, yeah, come party with us, hang out, you can crash at our place afterwards. It was like awesome. Unfortunately, the bar that we played at was one of those bars that stays open until 3. And we played the second set of the night, but the bands were kind of like, it was like 10, 11, 12 were the sets.
Okay.
So by 1, the music is over, but people are still drinking. And people just either they had gone out to another party or another bar, or they got too drunk and forgot and either passed out or their friend took them home or whatever the case was. By the end of the night, typically you're not loading out until the venue closes anyway.
Right.
And so we get everything out of the venue, and the next thing that we're going to do is start calling these people that had extended us the invitation to stay with them. Sure enough, it's like busy, goes to voicemail, their phone is off. And we're just kind of going down the list, and then we get to the very last person, and let's call him Crazy Bob, since that's kind of what we're and we get to this guy, and Brian, the singer, he was like, we got one more option. I don't really know if it's a good idea. And of course we said, let's just call him. What's the worst that could happen?
Right.
Of course, we call, he picks up, we go over to his place. He's waiting for us I don't know, like a sniper in Vietnam or something. He's chilling out in his house with the shades completely down. But obviously we're the only vehicle out at this point. It's 4:00, and he sees the headlights pull into the driveway. So, he peeks out of the curtains, and I mean, we already got a weird feeling about it. So we were already there. We just grabbed our stuff. We went inside, and we are just oh God, we are just welcomed by this smell of piss, poop. Let's say, I don't know if I can use profanity, and bathroom spray. That's what watermelon bathroom spray.
Wow.
And so this is just disgusting. And then basically throughout the night, we find out this guy he's got 3 little dogs, and he's trained them to piss and poop on this mat in front of his TV. I mean, I thought that was kind of weird. I guess it's not that strange for smaller dogs to train them to go in an area, but even still, it's something that you're actually supposed to clean this mat regularly.
Yeah.
Well, he definitely wasn't doing that. And so it had literally it had gone everywhere. It was like rivering down the wall. It was, these dogs were like walking in it, so then they were running it around the house. I mean, it was everywhere. It smelled awful. And then to make things even worse, it turned out that this guy was apparently a cocaine dealer of sorts, and he invited us to stay with him because he thought the rock band was going to have blow to give to him. When he found out we didn't, he was kind of upset, and all the while he is watching hardcore porn with the volume all the way up, and he the same 3 songs from the Chronic blasting at full volume, and it's 4:00 in the morning. We have to get up at 7 to go to drive to New Orleans the next day, and it was just awful. And so, like, once he kind of found out that we didn't have any goodies for him, his attitude towards us definitely changed. It was like he really didn't want us there, but we didn't want to do anything that would kind of upset him.
Right.
I didn't know what to expect because he was all drugged out and he was drunk. So like his actions were completely unpredictable.
Right.
So in the end, we just we waited it out, and he ended up falling asleep at like 6 o'clock or something like that. And well, actually, no, first his girlfriend, this guy was like 55, maybe 60 years old. His 20-year-old girlfriend, who apparently was like a runner for him, she shows up like at 6 in the morning. They go in, have a shag fest, and then when the noise kind of calms down and we know that they're asleep, we hit went out as quietly as we could in the van and drove 4 hours to New Orleans without speaking a single word.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that would probably stick in my mind too.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of other details, but like it was just an awful night. But like on the flip side, we've had so many really good experiences of staying with people that we met on the road, whether it was, people that like were in a band or a promoter, like kind of how we ended up staying with you,
yeah.
Or just like friends that we met at the venue or people that played in the other bands. It was like, these are people that in the end, they're still friends of mine now, even though maybe I haven't even seen them for a couple of years.
Sure.
But one was not a good experience. Basically, in the end, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Right.
I really would have spent $40 for a motel.
Oh man. Well, let's talk a little bit. Let's let's change gears and maybe talk about something good. Not that wasn't good, but that's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. What you wanted, right? You wanted weird.
It is. Yeah. No, that's good. That's very good. That's. I don't know what I would do in that situation. Actually, I'm not sure. I might just turn and run, and I don't know. That was weird. But thank God you came out alive. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Zelazowa has a unique style of music. What would you consider this style?
I mean, we tend to just call it alternative rock. Obviously, that is just like the most vague description of, okay, it's rock music that maybe isn't exactly mainstream, sure. Even though alternative rock became mainstream in the early 90s. So then really, what is it?
Yep.
So ultimately, what I end up kind of saying to elaborate on that is if to describe our music, I said like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden had a love child with Neil Young. So, there's at some points there's like heavier guitars, there's some screaming, but at the same time we do a lot of vocal harmonies. We do, sometimes we have really soft melodic stuff that like say you would hear on Harvest. So like, I mean, even just like the correlation to Neil Young is pretty good, I think, because like he just had such a wide spectrum. Sure. Sometimes he would do like the rock album, then he would do like the country album, then he would do the acoustic album. And, our songs are kind of like that. Sometimes, when we're writing, we're angry, we want to do like a heavy in-your-face rock tune. Cool, let's do that. And then on the same album, you end up with like a piano ballad of sorts.
Sure.
So
you're not fans of the cookie cutter?
What's that?
You're not fans of the cookie cutter?
No. I mean, and that cookie cutter becomes very predictable too. and and boring from a performer standpoint.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, and that's one of the things that I really enjoy about hanging out with indie artists and being an indie artist myself is you don't have those constraints. Even if you're signed to an indie label, they still say, most of them still say, just write an album. Whatever you want to do, just put it together. And I just like that. I like that feel. I like that way of life.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, sometimes the song that maybe is a little atypical from what you normally do, it ends up becoming like the best song in like that year or that album, depending. Sometimes just kind of like one little thing that's a little bit different can kind of open up your writing process to making some different decisions as far as like adding the bridge or like adding another vocal part, or even just like writing a lead or a drum beat or whatever. It just keeps it interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. What would be the perfect writing environment?
Sorry, you kind of broke up. What was that?
What would be the perfect writing environment?
See, like for me, I don't know that I could say that there would be a perfect one. I mean, obviously not a place where there's like tons of noise by any means, but I'm much more of a person where like I kind of I don't usually like sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write this. A lot of times I just kind of find myself kind of stumbling upon it, or I come up with something that kind of leads me in that direction. So sometimes that it could be me sitting quietly in my apartment, or you could be out somewhere. I mean, I know that like Brian wrote a handful of stuff sitting in the van while we were driving from gig to gig. It just depends.
Yeah, just kind of like whatever the moment takes you, that's when you need it.
Much more in the moment as far as that goes.
Very nice.
But then obviously, to go back and refine, it's nice to have some peace and quiet for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that this day and age, we just had a little bit of conversation about indie artists, but do you think that they really need labels right now, or is it just kind of if you want it, you can take it, but don't need it?
Well, I wouldn't say need, but I would say that the labels do and probably will always serve a purpose. It's just, I think it depends on where you are in your career and what you're doing and what you need to figure out whether you need a label or whether you can achieve those things by yourself.
Sure.
Like let's look at a couple of examples. Like the Foo Fighters, for example, are huge. They have so many successful albums. I mean, they're millionaires, so their bankroll is certainly there, but to make something work on that level, I mean, it's just like such a machine and such an operation. Even if, let's say, like every single guy that was in the band and let's say the manager were involved in like making all of that happen, like there's no way that, let's say, 10 people could make the last Foo Fighters album be as huge as it was. Right. Like it's just too much work. That's why you need these sorts of machines to kind of grind out a lot of that like promotional stuff.
Sure.
And like the next thing that a label is great for is being able to hook smaller bands up with bands that already have that big national recognition. Now, are they willing to do that is a completely different question. It's the real unfortunate thing about it is that like the labels really aren't making a ton of money anymore. So their decisions are very, very planned. And if they don't see anything in the short term, and definitely if they don't see anything in the long term, chances of them taking a gamble on something are pretty slim.
Right.
In all honesty. And then from there, you take it down another step. And I mean, really, if you don't know somebody, if you don't have an in, if you're unsolicited, pretty much, I mean, I wouldn't even waste your time.
Right.
You're better off go out and network, go out and tour, go out and like meet people that maybe will open some doors along the way. But need a label, want a label, they're good. They serve a purpose. It just depends on where you are and whether they can give you what you need at that moment. Because I think a lot of bands, they want a label because, well, one, it sounds really good. Two, it's like one of those things. I mean, I've never been signed to a label, but it is kind of one of those like milestones.
Yeah.
A band. You make a band. You go on tour. You sign to a label. It's like you kind of like cross it off the list of things to do.
Right.
As long as a label is going to do something for you and not just take your money, or worst case scenario, not do anything and put you on the shelf and then not allow you to do anything because they own you. I mean, no.
Yeah. I think that would suck. That would suck just to have that option to have everything at your fingertips, but then nothing happens.
Yeah. I would definitely say like independent artists are more empowered now than they ever were,
Absolutely.
But as a result, the market is more oversaturated than it ever was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you make yourself stand out?
Yeah, and that's the thing. You got to find that niche because there is, I just moved to LA from Nashville, and in Nashville, being in Music City, there are everybody and their brother is an artist in some form at some level, and so to play there, it's very unheard of, especially as a rock band. There's rock there, but it's still country saturated. Now the other scenes, the other genres are rising up. But to play there, you have to be willing to forego any kind of payment and pretty much play whatever kind of venue you can get your face in. So in that sense, you got to love what you do. You got to love playing and being in music in general.
Yeah, definitely.
So
it's being in a band is a lot of work.
Yeah, I agree. And that that brings me to my next point. That's a thing that I like about Zelazowa. And I've said this before, but whenever I think of Zelazowa, I think of an indie artist. You guys, or even vice versa, whenever I think of an indie artist, I think of Zelazowa because you guys have come so far. You've done so much. From playing, what'd you guys do? Like 200 shows. Well, you've done that several times.
We did like 600 shows in 3 years.
That's ridiculous.
yeah, that's right. And probably less than 3 years, 2.5 years. So yeah, and that was like U.S. We hit every state in the U.S. We went to Europe twice.
And this is funded by you guys, really.
Yeah. We ate bread and peanut butter and ramen noodles and slept in the van and made a lot of friends that put us up and fed us, and it's an experience for sure. Yeah. It's a lot of work.
And it's possible. But it's possible.
Yeah, it is possible. But I would say that some things are more possible now than they were when we did them, and some things are more difficult than they were when we did them.
Sure.
Like when we did a lot of touring, MySpace was really big. Mm-hmm. And obviously MySpace is not big anymore. It's no one else ever use it. But like we booked two European tours through MySpace.
Wow.
Tell me how that is. You couldn't even attempt to do that today if you wanted to.
Right.
Even if you had all the time in the world.
Yep.
Wouldn't happen. Now on the flip side, like you got cool websites like Indie on the Move that make touring in the US really easy.
I was heading into you got me all that's where I was headed, and you just came up and said it. You know me.
But you got to bring it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And since we brought it up, this is a site that basically the whole band runs, correct?
What's that?
This is a site that the whole band runs.
Well, and me and Brian pretty much run it.
Okay.
Two guys were working on the site for a while, but they've kind of gotten distracted with other jobs.
Sure.
So they were doing like secondary work and doing some of like the behind the scenes maintenance stuff, and they ended up kind of getting a lot of work elsewhere, and they just didn't have the time to put in anymore. So now it's just the two of us that kind of run it. But yeah, it still is very much something that started with Zelazowa. And it still is. The core foundation of the site was and always will be from our initial tour notes.
Yeah.
We kept a Word document initially of all of the places that we either played at, we were told about, we were referred to, whatever. We were on the road, or we were on MySpace, or you stumbled upon a venue possibility, whatever. We wrote it down, and so we had this big list, and then we kind of decided that it would be a really cool thing to publish and make interactive for other people to benefit from, because that was the thing when you would go on tour and you would go into a new market and you'd meet some new people. I mean, that's the first thing that you talk about are, what are the cool venues in your town? What are the cool places that you've played that brought you here? So, we just took the conversation and we put it onto one site and kind of started it with our information.
So with that being said, in a one or two sentences, what is indieonthemove.com?
What is to come?
What is indieonthemove.com?
Oh, what is it? I break it down as Indie on the Move is a free, interactive, open source music venue database, primarily geared towards independent musicians, promoters, booking agents, and the like. But there's still a lot of stuff that like a fan or a venue could benefit from that is on the site as well.
Yeah, this is actually a really good website. If you are an indie artist of any genre, of any kind, this is something that you need to at least look into, because it's incredibly helpful. I have artists all the time telling me about indieonthemove.com and how they're booking shows, and they're doing all of this stuff. So it's just one of those things where it needs to be in an artist's arsenal, if you will, of weapons to use to get shows, to get venues, to even network with other artists and fans. It's just to me, it's a necessity.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, and even when we initially launched solely as a music venue database, but as the site evolved, we started to see demand for other things. So we built in things like show availabilities. If you're a band and you have a couple of open slots on a bill that you're playing, you can go on and you can post that information for other bands to see. If you're going to be in Chicago and you have a date that needs to be filled, you can post that your band is seeking an available slot. There's classifieds, there's radio listings, there's PR listings. I mean, pretty much, other than actually sending the email for you, everything is there. All you have to do is go in and you can geo-target all of your searches, and you can break it down by genre, and then all you got to do is click send.
Yeah, and the nice thing is too, I mean, like you just said, all the paperwork is done, all the research, all the legwork is done. All you have to do is find out where you're going. You can build tours from this. You got to find out where you're going, and it has that name, the contact for the venue, and it has an email for them that you can simply just click send.
Well, and furthermore, we actually check, verify, update all of the listings regularly. So it's not like we added a listing in 2006 and hasn't been looked at since then.
Right.
They always checked, they're always updated on a daily basis,
and rated and commented on as well.
Yeah. I was already getting that. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. User-based ratings and reviews, so people can go on and talk about like how great or how awful a place was, and that can kind of maybe it'll help you weed out a couple of those venues that either weren't completely accurate for the type of music that you play, or maybe it's a spot that the promoter is not really an honest person, and you don't want to have to go through not getting paid for a Friday night show.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I think it's a must, at least a must-see for every indie artist. You know what? Every artist in general, I think, could benefit from this. But just, anybody, if you're a fan of music in general as well, you can benefit. You're a venue, you're any type of music person, industry person, you just need to go check it out. It's just something that is a must-see. So indieonthemove.com is where you need to go and check that out. It's very nice.
Just to double check and make sure that everybody gets it right, it's INDIE on the move.com, not IND.
That's stupid. That's dumb. We're not from Indiana. Anyway. Well, what's some advice that you would give to new artists that are just coming onto the game?
Well, there's a lot of stuff I could say. But I think first and foremost, I think it's like, it's just, I hope you really like what you think you want to do, and be ready to really work hard. Because, I mean, ultimately in the end, nobody cares more about your project than you. And if you're not willing to work hard and bust your ass every single day, whether it's promoting, booking, playing, writing, whatever, nobody else is going to care.
Right. This
So
is not.
work in if you want to see the results. And there's so many tools out there nowadays. Act like I'm so old, been around so long. There's so many tools out there now that make that process so much easier than even 5 years ago. I mean, Eric, you know exactly what I'm talking
Yep.
about. I mean, the music industry, especially online, has changed like drastically
Yes.
in the last 5 years. It's amazing. And all you got to do is really kind of figure out what you want to do, fine tune an approach, and put the time in.
That's it. I love it. That's I mean, that's simple, but it's hard at the same time. So just love what you do, enjoy what you're doing, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. And don't let anyone tell you no.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can we find your music?
Where can you find my music?
Yes.
Oh, all of those outlets. Basically, if you just go onto Google and type in Zelazowa, Zelazowa, you'll either find us or you'll find Chopin's birthplace. And we're not a house. iTunes, Google Play, whatever, Reverb Nation, Bandcamp, MySpace, Facebook, Twitter. I could probably just keep going, but I'll stop.
Yeah. Pretty much anywhere then.
Yeah, just do a Google search and you'll find us.
Very nice, very nice. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for hanging out. I do appreciate it. And guys, go check out Zelazowa. You can check them out. Just like you said, Google it or Zelazowa.com, Reverb Nation, everywhere that they are available. Go hear what they have to offer. It's decent stuff. You'll enjoy it, I think. And then, you know what, Kyle, we'll probably talk again here soon, but indieonthemove.com is another website that you need to go check out. And thank you, Kyle, for being a part of that and making that happen.
Thank you very much, Eric. I'm glad we were able to chat, man.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon, man. I appreciate it.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm EROCK. Peace.
Revolver Underground.